Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to PMDC online lecture room. It's me Zahir Shah, lecturer in English. Today we are going to discuss an important lesson, that is Lingkuan Gorge. Lingkuan Gorge is actually a story. Now this story is written by a Chinese novelist. His name was Tu Peng Cheng. Tu Peng Cheng was a Chinese novelist. He was born in China and he was among the greatest novelists of his time. Tu Peng Cheng has written many novels, and mostly his novel deals with the workers. His work was banned, but after some time he was allowed to resume his writing career. These are his two major works, In Days of Peace and Defend Yunnan. Defend Yunnan, it was published in 1954, and in 1958 he published his next major novel, that is In Peacetime. The Peacetime is a novel which describes the workers constructing on Pauki to Chengdu. Now let's come towards this story, Lingkuan Gorge. Lingkuan Gorge, as I have told you, that it is a story, and a story must have these three elements. These are very important for a story. Now the very first one is characters. Now there must be a few or some characters in every story. In this story we have some major and minor characters. The narrator is the major character, who is the author of this story. Another character is Tu Peng. Another character is Cheng Yu, that is a small boy, and the parents of Cheng Yu are also characters, but they are minor characters. There is another character, Pao Cheng, that is the baby sister of Cheng Yu. Now the plot. Plot means the events that occur in a story. The third one is theme. Now what is theme? Theme is actually the main idea of any lesson. Now, theme of the lesson. What is the theme of this story? So this story conveys a very important theme. This story conveys a very important idea to us, and the basic theme of this story is that this story conveys a very sublime idea about work. That is, there are hardships in the way of performing one's duty. Like there must be some hardship whenever we perform any task, any duty, but the courage to face and never to surrender before hardship is the very essence of leading a successful life. Now, this too also conveys an important message, that we should perform our duty honestly. Now, we will see that how the Cheng Yu perform his duty. We should never leave our post which is assigned to us. Post over here means task or duty. Now let's come towards the summary of the lesson. That is an easy, you will understand it easily. Now this story, Lingkuan Gorge, teaches us the sense of duty and devotion of a nation. The chief of materials department tried. Now it starts like this. The chief of materials department tried to reach to a place where the work was started. Now, who is the chief? The chief is actually the narrator of this story. He wanted to reach to a place where the construction was underway. Now, the way was very hard. Even in clear weather, entering the gorge was very difficult and risky for him. It was very difficult for him to walk through that way. Okay, there were now why it was difficult, because there were some hills and the sky was not visible. He was very tired, so he wanted to take some rest. Now what he will do now? After some time he saw a cave. He saw a cave over there. So as he entered the cave, he saw a little boy over there. At the entrance gate, he found a little boy. His age was 7 or 8 years old. Now, that is important, you have to keep in mind. The age of that kid, the age of that little boy was 7 or 8 years old. He was sitting on a small stool over there. In the cave, he was sitting on a small stool. Now, when the narrator asked him his name, so he replied that his name is Chingyu. Now, what is the name of that small child? His name is Chingyu. Now, there was another child sleeping deep. It was the duty of the little boy to look after his baby sister in the absence of his mother. Now, this is very important. He was assigned a duty. This kid, he was assigned by his parents a duty that he has to take care of his baby sister. Now, there are two characters. Okay. Now, it was the duty of his little boy to look after his baby sister in the absence of his mother. What was the job of his mother? Now, his mother was controlling the traffic down on a busy road. Now, there was a road and her job was to control the traffic. They had some series of these kid and narrator, they had some series of questions. The boy, when the narrator asked the boy that what does his father do, so the child replied that he opens the mountains. The chief looked and he saw lights on the far off mountains. He also saw his mother, who was standing and directing the traffic. Now, he also saw that his mother was standing over there, and he saw that later on he realized that the boy was dozing. The chief asked him to sleep and take some rest, but the kid, that small boy who was like, his name was Chengyu, he replied. Now, this is very much important, you have to keep in mind, that is very much important. When the narrator asked him to take some rest, So what was the reply of that little boy? The little boy replied that he has assigned a duty, and I will do my duty. I'll perform the small kitchen. You said that he will perform his duty and he will not go to bed. He said, the, the kid said, a man should never leave his post. Now, as the narrator heard these words, a man should never leave his post. So, the narrator was deeply moved by the remark of this little boy. Now, what does he do? He buttoned his coat and left the cave, because as the little boy replied that a man should never leave his post, so it had a great effect on this narrator, because he has also assigned a job, a work. So he buttoned his coat and left the cave, and the words of that small kid, the words of that Yu was echoing in his ear. What was those words? A man should never leave his post. Now, this was the whole story. I hope you have understood it. At the end, I'll give you an assignment. It is easy. Just you have to just go through all the questions that is given in the exercise. You have to go through those questions in recalling. That are very easy question, like what is the narrator's job and purpose of his journey. As I have already told you about how old the Yu is, that is very much easy. Okay, there are 4 questions and you have to go through those questions. Okay boys, if you are having any sort of question, you can WhatsApp us at the given number, and you can also mail us at this given ID. Thank you so much.